All right. You are looking good. Great to see everybody here today. Waving hello to everybody. I need to get my guest joining me here from the green room. All right, Pamela, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great.
Good, good.
So glad to be here.
Really, really good to be here. All right. Well, let's just, we got some thumbs up. I always love to see that. Thank you all so much. Hello, Stacy. Let us all know where you are coming in from. I'm just going to give this a minute. We have Terrence, hooray. We have so much to share with you guys. We have a lot. This is some meaty stuff happening. Trisha, so good to see you. So we're going to start out here, but it's just good. Sounds like everybody can hear, which is wonderful. Chris, so good to see you. All right, I love this. Thank you all so much. Let's make this happen. All right, we are going to talk about what's new for 2023 in getting a big revenue from a small audience, living the dream, right? So, let's start off with just, is this the right spot? Are you in the right place? So this presentation is going to be useful for the following folks. If you do not have an offer yet, but you do have some people you can reach, you have, a good network on LinkedIn, you have an email list, you might have a podcast, you might have a blog, but you have some way to talk to people, but you've never quite put an offer together for those folks. Alternately, you have an offer, but you could have a better offer. It could be working better. It could be making more revenue. It could be making more. Um, it could be converting better. You love your offer, but you're not able to sell it, or you're just ambitious. You want to take the next step. You've got, you want to do big things. All of that is a great place to be here. So let's speed through intros. I don't want to delay too much to get into the meaty stuff. My name is Sonia Simone. I am a founder, a serial founder. I am a speaker, a teacher, a coach, a mentor, primarily working with business strategy, content marketing, and strategy of content, how to get content created. I was a co-founder of Copyblogger Media. I was there for about 10 years total. I've also founded companies on my own. I have managed more six-figure and pretty dang close to seven-figure launches, literally, than I can remember. I've written more than 1.6 million words of business building content. We're going to talk today about how not to write quite that many words, and I've developed courses and services for hundreds of thousands of people. My Coursera course has hit well over 300,000 people, but also we served hundreds of thousands of people at Copybloggers. So not my first rodeo. The important thing today, though, is in 2023, I am leading the Offer Accelerator, and that is a systematic framework for digital business owners to help you create higher value offers that bring in consistent, excellent revenue from the work you really care about, from your most satisfying work. So that's kind of me. I'm going to turn it over to Pamela to walk us through her resume just in a minute.
Super quick resume. My name is Pamela Wilson. I'm here because I was the original creator of the Offer Accelerator, and I have now pivoted to full time consulting. I was looking for the perfect person to head up the Offer Accelerator, and Sonia is the perfect person. I have seen her in action in this program in the past few months, and she's done things with it that I hadn't even imagined could be done. So it's a really great combination, I think, of both of our strengths at this point. And I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you about the process that Sonia is now delivering and how it can help you. So I'm really glad you're here today.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And because Pamela's going to be sharing some of our client success stories because this was her program. Her people are the ones who have completed the program, so she has
Right.
the bulk of the stories today. Um, And yeah, my strengths I think really are, although I love writing and I love doing the work, I feel like my strengths are very much as a teacher and as a coach. Pamela has a really brilliant mind for process. When we worked together at Copyblogger Media, she really helped us create some incredible business processes. So I do feel like the new Offer Accelerator is the best of both worlds, which is very, very cool. Um, if by chance you need to duck out early, again, we have a lot today. We have a lot going on today. So if you want to duck out early, you can pick up an ebook. It's called Revenue Revolution. You can get to fiercerevenue.com and pick that up. So if you just want it is very high level. It's not going to be in depth the way that we are here, but it'll help you get some of the big ideas. All right, let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. Make sure I've got the right camera going here. So let's do this. Here's what we're going to cover today. First thing we're going to do is we're going to work on decluttering and simplifying your business. So, got Pamela as my camera here, which is cool, but not what I'm looking for. Really simplifying your business, increasing your revenue, and just decluttering, spending more time on the right things and a lot less time on all the distractions. We're going to talk about a simple addition that builds trust and builds value to the offers that you already have. We're going to talk about crafting offers that really delight your people, just some of the very specific steps that go into the right kind of offer for the people that you serve. And then your first step in offering more value. There's kind of a very often overlooked first step when you are really thinking about adding value to the offers that you create, creating more value with what you're doing. And then we are going to talk a little bit about trends.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait to talk about trends. That part is going to be so fun. I think we've all noticed that in 2023, things have really shifted. So, what Sonia and I are going to do in that part of the presentation, and it's kind of sprinkled throughout, but we're going to talk about the old way things were done and then how it's done today. So, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to pop right in with trend number one. And what is the great driver of trends? I mean, there are a lot of things going on right now, a lot of complexity, but the pandemic is probably the underlying driver of a lot of the changes we're seeing. And even in the last 6 to 12 months, people are doing things differently, even than they were doing in that pandemic context. So, first trend. And like every trend, it's not an immutable business law, right? Obviously, some people are still making the old way work, and it's fine. But there are movements I'm seeing very widely, and one of them is we're just going to say what's out, being high ticket offers, and we're going to talk about what I mean by that, because what's increasingly in for 2023 is high value offers. Might be the same offer, but it's quite a different mindset.
It totally is. And I think the high ticket label really refers to what the business is going to be able to charge for that offer. It's very focused on the business earnings from that offer. And high value it's just a different spin. You've mentioned that value word a couple of times. So high value is something different, right?
Yeah, absolutely. High value, let's just click over here so you can see a beautiful slide that has cookies on it. High value focuses more on the buyer than on the business. So there could still be a luxury component. In fact, it could be the same thing. It could be that retreat in Bali. It could be that, high value, high priced mastermind. But the focus is on the transformation that you're delivering to this buyer. So I found this the other day on LinkedIn. I love it. It's from a woman who just impresses my socks off, Lee Callagher at Double Forte PR. And in her trend watch for 2023, she wrote, status is no longer a symbol, it's a decision. What do I value? And where do I invest my money, my time, and my loyalty? I mean, I could not have said this better. So, high value is really about very much true transformation, not surface level stuff, not getting people kind of 10% of the way there, but really getting people to what they want and what they need. And the reason I think that it is a genuine trend is honestly just that in this world, 2023 that we live in now, people don't have time to mess around with the small stuff. They want the big stuff. They want meaningful change, and they also have bigger problems and bigger needs. So it's a very
And
intense
I think there's
environment.
an element of, there's also an element of like, time is of the essence, I think,
Yes,
that we see
yes,
now, right?
yeah,
And that makes
exactly.
people willing to, I less willing to invest in the 10% solution and more willing to make the investment and put in the time for 100% solution, something that will actually get them to where they want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're going to talk in a minute about some offer math here and just looking at just structurally, financially, what happens in your business. But I will tell you from talking with lots of people who have courses, also lots of freelancers, that lower cost offer has become actually hard to sell, and I think that's why. I think it's kind of, people just they don't have the time or the bandwidth for the small solution. They want to go to the big stuff. So I'm going to turn this over to Pamela for a little bit of easy, I promise, easy math.
I love it. Math was not my forte in college, but this is super easy math. So what I want you all to look at is just to think about how structuring your pricing and creating an offer strategically from the very beginning is a great way to do business. So
Yeah.
let's imagine that you have a beginning offer and you start at the $595 level. So a $595, let's say, a course, right? That's a pretty typical price point that a lot of online coaches will encourage you to create. So you create it, you have this $595 course, and you put that offer in front of 100 people. And 3% of those people buy, that's a pretty industry standard conversion rate, 3%. So 3% of the people that you buy, that you put the offer in front of in a month, buy that offer. So you end up with $1,785 in the bank.
Yep.
Let's switch it around and say, okay, you're able to get it in front of more people. So in a month, you get it in front of 1,000 people, 3% of those people buy. Well, then you have $17,850. That's a much nicer number. That's a number you can do some things with, right? The question, though, is where are you going to find those 1,000 people every single month? How are you going to capture their attention, especially in this environment today? The traditional answer has been ads. You run an ad campaign, but any ad campaign where you are wanting to bring in 1,000 new leads a month is a major ad campaign. It's going to take a lot of work and a big investment of funds, right? And those funds get pulled right out of your profits.
Yep.
So, what happens if we decide to shift things around a little bit and put the zero in a different place? So, let's imagine that you really focus on developing a higher value offer, something that delivers true transformation that you can charge more for. And this is an offer that you charge $5,950 for. If you put that offer in front of 1,000 people and 3% buy, in front of only 100 people and 3% buy, you earn $17,850. So you don't have to sell at volume when you have an offer that you can charge more for. And you don't have to invest in a huge ad campaign or obsessively check your ads account all day long. You just get out of that whole high volume sales game that's kind of exhausting.
Yeah, I'm going to look at my crystal ball and note, and predict that you might be saying right now, like, I don't think I can do that. I don't think my market will support it. And that's very understandable. That's very normal. It's why people don't kind of try this out. So that's what we're really going to talk about is how that works, and what goes into actually making that transformation. Because for most of us, unless you're really radically underpricing, you're not just going to add a zero and then everybody's going to convert. You're going to have some work
Right.
to do, but that work
Right.
is very well worth doing. So I want to talk about another kind of a trend that I am seeing more and more. This is with packages for services, copywriting packages, design packages, coaching packages for sure, and also courses, very much courses. So the old way Pamela talked about, we have that kind of, you start with that, what we think of as a mid-tier course, $400 or $500. That's your silver. And then maybe you have a gold version and you have a platinum version, very standard pricing, very traditional model. Um, there are good reasons why that was a good workable model for a long time. Um, and some people are still making it work. I'm not saying nobody's making it work, but there are some problems with silver that I am seeing in 2023, where the thing that sold really quite well in 2018, 2019 is not doing as well as it used to. And here's why I think that is. So first, we just touched on this. A lot of times that mid-tier product, the transformation that it delivers used to be a good promise, and now it's not compelling. It's not getting people where they need to go, and people have a sense of urgency they didn't have 3 or 4 years ago. I also feel like the kind of diet version of that, it sort of cheapens your other offers. So it puts you into a category of like all the other stuff that, as we say, it's gathering digital dust on your hard drive. I mean, I'm going to guess everybody here has some of these courses on their hard drive. I literally have more than I can even count. Um, and I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying it does kind of cheapen the value of a stronger transformation. Um, when you're delivering at this price point, your ability to really deliver is limited. It's just limited by practicality. There's only so much you can do for somebody at this price point. You've got other costs, you've got overhead in your business, and so you can do a lot, but it is limited. And then finally, it splits the focus of your message. So sometimes you're talking about silver, sometimes you're talking about gold, maybe sometimes you're talking about platinum, sometimes you're talking about your opt-in. You're talking about a lot of different things. And very often people will diversify their silver offerings because they can only sell so many. And so they have to sort of split the message. So again, I'm not vilifying it. It's not bad. It's just that the trend is moving away from it, and I think there are some actually pretty solid reasons for that. So I want to be clear. When I say start with gold, I'm not talking about the mid-tier. I'm not talking about that mid-tier offer. A gold offer is an offer that delivers a really meaningful transformation. Now, it might not be every bell and whistle. It might be an incredibly valuable, high value retreat, but maybe it's not in Bali. I mean, maybe it is, but maybe it's not. It might not be the absolute platinum. So you could have some room, for a premium on top of this, but it's that magic point where the transformation is. So just looking at maybe some of the components, roughly a lot of the time it's going to be priced around 10 times what you would have maybe conceptualized that silver offer at. So again, that's, if you had the $400, $500, $600 course, it might roughly be priced around 10 times that. It is a meaningful transformation. It's not just hitting people on a surface level, it's hitting people on a deep level. There is not.
I'm hearing people out there swallowing hard, like
I know, and
But
You're,
that's what we're going to talk about.
yeah,
There's a way to get there.
yeah. It really, I mean, unless you're selling T-shirts, you can get there. Even if you are selling T-shirts,
Yes.
you could sell your $20 T-shirt for $200 if you really added the quality. We're going to talk about that. Um,
Yeah, and we have examples of people who've done
mhm,
this.
mhm. So yeah, I know. I hear you. You know, the good people, the really like people who are heart principled and heart centered. This is always a little bit like we're gonna help.
Yeah.
Um, the
Yeah.
goal. So a gold offer does let you focus on putting the right ingredients in. I'm not talking about overcomplicating it. I'm talking about putting in maybe the components that really make a difference in somebody's life, and it lets you focus on one thing. You can just talk about one thing in lots of different ways instead of splitting your focus all over the place. All right, so
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
want to ask y'all, and it is like it can be kind of intense to think about. What would that look like if you're thinking about what you've either put into the world, or that maybe the thing you might have been working on for a while, like you might have been working on a course, you might have been working on a package. Just as a thought experiment, if you added a zero to it, let yourself just think about it. No commitment. What would it feel like? So instead of, let's say you're a copywriter and you typically go out with maybe you go out with a $1,500, $1,000 to $1,500 engagement. If that was a $10,000 to $15,000 engagement, what would be different? What would be different? Because I will tell you that the thing that you do right now, somebody out there, probably somebody I know personally, is charging that 10x level, and what they're delivering is excellent, but you can be excellent. You actually can be. We're going to talk about some actual tactics. So drop it in the chat once you pick yourself up. I have been there, my friends. I have been there. I know. I
I want
know.
to see the
It's
reactions.
intense.
I
It's
can't wait to
intense.
see that.
And
Yeah.
if you're just like, if you're in a place of like, hell yeah, I am ready for this, drop that in too. You don't have to be, um, if you're not
Yes.
intimidated, that's not a requirement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and Trish,
You might feel excited with
you
the
might feel
thought.
excited. Trisha is an interesting one, which is very interesting for you, Trisha, because I know your details. It seems to be providing additional support is where the value can be created. Potentially, potentially.
Maybe.
The thing
Yeah. That's
about
one option.
the thing about gold is all that cookie cutter stuff works brilliantly for silver. You can just go in, you can go to one of like hundreds of different internet business teachers, and they can teach you how to put it together. When you're getting to meaningful transformation, there's there's a lot of thinking about it. So let's, instead of being abstract, let's just get into some
Yeah. Let's get into some
specifics.
examples.
All
Let's get
right,
into some examples.
let's talk about
So we,
before we talk about what you create. Pamela's going to talk about kind of that first step, because before you can create
yeah.
gold, there's a step you have to do on your own, on yourself.
Yes, exactly. And we alluded to this at the beginning of the presentation that it's kind of the first most important step. The thing about this, and just based on Sonia's question, you're probably already picking up on this, but the thing about this process is you really have to go into it convinced that your expertise has value, which is why we say the first sale is to yourself. You have to sell yourself on the idea that you can deliver this kind of value to your clients. Now, I had the opportunity to witness someone going through this process in the Offer Accelerator program. She joined the program. Barbie Joe Hatch joined with a $17 product, believe it or not. Um, that was what she had. She had a $17 offer, and her plan was to just sell a whole bunch of them. She was going to have to really sell a lot. And by the time she left the program, she had a $20,000 offer created, and she's excited to sell it because she believes it's worth more than that.
Yeah.
and she's finding that it's easier to sell. And Barbie Joe's niche is home organization. So this is not the typical niche that you would think about having a $20,000 offer for, but I'll tell you what, the offer she created is amazing.
Yeah.
It's really great. So if you're wondering if your business could do this, it probably can.
Yeah. 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 And we have a couple more, not internet marketing at all type people to talk about.
None of the examples are internet marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing about this business of really getting to gold, of getting to something that creates this meaningful transformation, is that one of the parts of the process that we skip, that we kind of don't always necessarily think about, is systematically strengthening and protecting your own confidence as a business owner. Um, that is that's part of the process. It's part of the framework. It's actually part of the work of developing the offer. And there are people out there who just seem to be blessed with confidence. Probably has something to do with the environment and the conditions that they grew up in, but confidence really is something that can be developed, it can be learned, and it can be strengthened. So that is part of the work. And if you're not there yet, it doesn't mean you aren't going to get there. So I would love if you would get out of the habit of thinking, I'm just not a confident person. There are ways to get confident, and one of them is going through this process we are going to talk about in more detail. Because one of the things is you show yourself, okay, this thing that I'm offering, it actually is valuable. Like, I'm not just pretending it's valuable. It actually is valuable, and that is part of being able to offer it effectively. So let's talk about process. Let's talk about steps, things to do. We're going to walk you real high level through a high value offer process. This is the process that's used in the Offer Accelerator, so that you can just start to think about those steps for your own project. And we're going to start with knowing your audience. Now, everybody teaches this, right? We've all seen this before. It's not new to anybody here. Um, we think about it. We think we answered the question, but did we though?
Or
So
have
that's
we recently?
have
Have
we
we
recently?
recently?
You know,
Or for this new offer, have we
yeah,
done it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the first step really is to do not just sort of do a gut check, but really do some formal market research. Now, this does not have to be hard. There are very simple ways to do this. There's ways you can do this for absolutely free. There's ways you can do this very inexpensively. There's ways you can do this if you do not have a giant audience. There's ways you can do it with a small audience. There's ways you can do it with zero audience. But because we have seen so much change, because every offer is a fresh opportunity to connect with people, and sometimes to connect with people you have not been talking to. Let's say they're on your email list, but you haven't been talking to them. You've been talking to the silver buyer. The gold buyers would love to hear what you have to say. So, um, straightforward market research is the first step. It is formal. It is good to do it in a formal way because it's very easy to sort of wave your hands and say, I know my people. I know them so well, and make assumptions. Now, if you don't do this
Well,
step,
and you walk people through this personally, Sonia,
yeah,
which
yeah,
I don't think we talk about that enough. But you actually meet with people and walk them through this for their own audiences as part of the program.
yeah, and that's one of the things about Offer Accelerator that I think is actually one of the things, and I haven't seen this often, is there's a framework part. These are the steps. You go through them like you would a course, but then there's a lot of one-on-one work. So
Yeah.
you and I get on Zoom one-on-one and we talk. We meet in a mastermind style group, very small, very intimate. Um, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But yeah, sometimes with these steps that are we tend to want to skip over them because they seem like they're going to be boring or they seem like they're going to be hard or we feel like we've already done them. Just a little hand holding can make a big difference. Because if you don't, if you assume, and trust me, I've done it a lot of times, you develop an offer and it almost hits, but it doesn't hit. And you can't even see it. You know, it's just off the bullseye, but it's not converting. And it's very discouraging. And it wastes a lot of time and a lot of money. And most of all, it wastes your enthusiasm. So, research is an important part of it. And we come back to it every time we start a new offer. Um, and sometimes you have to do it a couple of times. Um, but it's really worth doing. It actually is not hard. But if you get a little hand holding, it is a little easier to do. So
Totally.
I want to just talk about, I want to just jump on that trend wagon for a sec, trend number 2, because it's very much related to this. So back in the day, back in Copyblogger day, the old way was to build your audience with like this just absurd volume of content. I mean, I burned myself out really pretty badly. 2 podcasts a week, 1 blog post a week, premium content for the group. We had 3 or 4 guest posts. I mean, it's like, and it worked. It worked. I mean, it was at the expense of me, but it did work. Um, Even Brian over at Copyblogger will tell you, stop doing that. Don't do that. If you're doing that now, don't do that anymore. Now it's really about targeted audience growth, the right content at the right time. But you can't do that until you've researched a pretty well-defined person that you're going to talk to. So the watering hole was cool back in the day. I mean, I'm grateful for my time at Copyblogger, but it's kind of like like if I had been in the Marines, I'd be saying the same thing. I don't want to go back. I want to go back there. I'm glad I did it, but I want to do it again.
Grateful I did, and I have the muscles to show for it.
Right,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And the injuries,
Yeah, the scars.
the
Right.
scars to prove it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
so
mean, it was a time, and
it
that
was a
was
time.
what worked at that time, which is why we did it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And Pamela was
But
right.
yeah,
And
it's
that
a
the
different
trend is
time
right.
now. And I mean, the good news is, honestly, we did all of that, but you did a lot of it, Sonia, and there were lots of other people around you
Yeah.
who were
Yes.
contributing. It's much easier now for a single person or a smaller business to have impact with
Yeah.
a very targeted audience. So you don't have to create that volume of content the way you used to have to.
Yeah. Thank goodness, because that was hard. All right. Well, let's talk about the second step on our high value offer process. I'll turn that one over to Pamela.
Yes. Yeah. So the next part of this process is to create a framework. And what's great about a framework is a framework will show your prospective customer exactly how you're going to deliver this amazing transformation that you were promising them. It's something that builds a lot of trust because it shows that you have a plan for delivering what you're going to do with them. Now, a lot of people will say to me, what I do, I can't create a framework for it. There's no way to create a framework. Every client is individual. Every time I deliver this, it's a little bit different. But I'm telling you, there's always a way to create a framework. Even if it's very basic, like we have an intake process, and then we work with you, and then you have a transformation.
Yeah.
Even something as basic as that can help to build a lot of trust with your clients. I was lucky enough to work with Calvin Chen. Calvin is a former coach for Tony Robbins, and he's a coach. So he was one of the people who was pushing back on this framework idea and saying, there's not really a way to put what I do into a framework. But we kept chipping away at it. And he did develop a framework eventually. And he was able to charge a lot more for his coaching. It ended up being a way that he could really elevate his offering and make what he does stand out among the competition. Calvin said, why not work with a coach who is specialized in marketing and creating offers? Because, he had looked at other people to work with and ended up in the Offer Accelerator because he knew that what he wanted to do was to create a better offer. And then he said, as opposed to a coach who's a great coach, but doesn't specialize in marketing and creating offers. So that framework becomes a marketing asset for how you talk about what you're going to do for people. And it is really important to work with an experienced marketer and an experienced copywriter when you're putting your framework together, which is one of the reasons that Sonia is ideal for delivering this program, because she's very experienced in both of those categories. The thing about not having a framework,
Yeah.
if you never really take the time to explain how you're going to deliver the transformation, what you end up doing is creating this very fluffy marketing that is full of hyperbole and what seems like a lot of empty promises, because you don't ever back it up with how you're going to do this thing that you're promising. And that's what the framework does.
Yeah, and the other thing I think is wonderful about what the framework does is it's much easier to deliver quality when you have done the work of really understanding your own framework. Um, when you're reinventing the wheel every time with every client, you waste a lot of your time and you waste a lot of their time. So it's really integral, and that's when we talked about that simple step to make your offer more valuable. Really put that time in to think about your framework for creating excellence. It will really serve you. It will serve your clients. So let's talk about a little trends. And trend number 3, and this might be one of the biggest trends of our epoch, our era, is creative adaptability. It's making good, thoughtful use of what you already have instead of just going out and grabbing a bunch of stuff, which honestly, a lot of times we do just because um, from insecurity, and from imposter syndrome. So the old way is, I'm just going to get this MBA before I before I go out with my gold offer. I'm going to get an MBA first. I'm going to get one more coaching certification. I'm going to get just one more qualification because, who am I? And it ties so directly to imposter syndrome. And the thing is, it's 2023. Your people do not have time for you to go spend 18 months getting that certification. They don't have time to just sit around and wait to solve their big problem. They have problems that are urgent and pressing and important right now. And so do we all. So you could honestly always have done this. It was always a good idea to do this. But I really want to say, I mean, assuming you're not, you know, my son who's 17 years old and still in high school, assuming that this is not your first rodeo, use what you have. You already have skills. You already have a lot of resources and abilities and strengths that you are underusing because, we get addicted to saying, well, if I just get one more qualification. This is particularly the case with my folks who are in any kind of group that has been traditionally overlooked and undervalued. So, if you are female, if you are gay, if you are trans, I mean, you know the drill. If you are black, if you are over 30. If you are in an underestimated group, we get addicted to saying, I'm going to get some more external validation to show people I'm worth what I do. I get it. I understand it. Let's not do that. Let's use the strengths, the abilities, the knowledge that you have, and put that together in a way to deliver value. Because the time is now. Time, as Pamela said earlier, time is of the essence for folks. People just don't have, a bazillion years. All right, let's keep going. I want to make sure, as we promised, we have a lot. This process has 5 steps. The third step is a test offer. And this one is where a lot of us have stalled out in the past, and you might have as well. As I talk about this, if you've kind of stalled out on this, let me know in the comments. And that is getting a simple version of your offer into the world where people can pay for it. Not a free version, a simple version, that word is important, of your offer in front of whoever's paying attention to you. And if that's a few hundred people on LinkedIn, that's great, so that you can deliver it live. That part is important. to a group of paying customers. That part is important.
Every word is important in that sentence.
Every word is there for a reason.
Yes.
So, what happens is either we get caught up in putting out a bunch of free stuff to test the idea, okay, as far as it goes, but we've never actually given people a chance to pay for something, so we don't know if we've got an audience of people who like to do things for free or people who want to actually solve their problem by making an investment. Um, Delivering it live, we deliver it live, or we deliver a component of it live. Now, if it's pre-recorded, looking at one of you out there who I happen to know has some glorious material, it's been recorded, you can still deliver that live. Um, because that's an opportunity to really collect where is it landing, how's it landing, where are people getting stuck, where are they getting confused, and then again, paying customers because people looking for free solutions, sometimes that's just a different person than the person who's looking for, I'm ready, I've got some funds to invest in a meaningful transformation. And so that might be, Jane might be your free person and Suzanne might be your paying person. And if you're talking to Jane, Suzanne's kind of left out in the cold.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the mindset of someone who um, is willing to pay is going to provide a lot better feedback for you. So the only way to test if someone will pay for your offer is to sell them your offer,
Yeah,
which sounds ridiculously basic, but
yeah.
that's how it is. It's not a good test to see if somebody will take it for free. It's just not an actual test of whether they'll pay for it.
Yeah, and Pamela and I talked with somebody a couple of months ago who was really, really qualified, but she had massively messed up her confidence by doing that, by delivering a free program locally, and it was really high quality, but her local economy is in really rough shape. And so she said, "Well, would anybody pay for this?" And they were like, "Yeah, no, because we don't have any money." Um,
Yeah.
and she could have been delivering that offer to people internationally and doing really well with it, but her confidence was really shaken. So it's a thing that happens. And I'm not anyway. I want to keep moving. Let's talk
Yeah.
about trends. I could talk.
Trends.
Trust me, folks. Catch me on
Every
LinkedIn. I'll
yeah,
talk to you all day long about this stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Every word's important. Just believe
Everyone's
us.
important. Trend number 4 is that, and this is one of my favorites, and I'm really seeing it, is that style over substance, that kind of super polished perfectionism is out the old way. The new way is make the most important things great. So I'm not saying be sloppy at all. I'm not saying just throw any old garbage out there. And sometimes people will think that's what we mean by like a minimum viable product. I want that transformation to be valuable. But what I don't want you to do is just polish the living daylights out of it and make your sales pages exquisite and your web design is like, you dropped 10 figures on this glossy website and everything about it is impeccable and you don't even know if it converts yet. So don't polish it before it works. Instead, though, really put that work, the early work, to crafting incredible transformation. If it's a little rough around the edges here and there, in the parts that are not crucial to them getting their transformation, that's cool. And I'll tell you a secret: a lot of people really love that. A lot of people love being in on the little bit like nitty gritty part. I mean, I've been in some very high dollar, very high ticket and high value, masterminds and things like that. And it ain't about the hotel you're staying in. It's about the quality of the core product. And then, you can
Yes.
polish the bells and whistles. You can get there, you will get there. I'm not disrespecting getting there, but don't do it until you have something that is high value, making a gold transformation, and people are paying gold money for.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Absolutely.
All right, let's
Should
boogie
we
on
move
through
to the
this.
next step?
Let's do it.
All right. So the next step is, At this point, you have created a test offer, and what you need to do next is promote it. And so part of what you're testing here is the offer itself, but you're also testing the way you're going to market that offer. You are putting it out into the world and seeing what language and what messaging people actually respond to. And you'll be collecting payments from your first customers. This offer testing piece is really important. I had the opportunity to work with Orit Niveau, and Orit is a very respected Israeli circus artist who has pivoted to helping executives harness their creativity and optimize their performance. And what Orit said is there's something about the smart start process, which is what we call this process that kickstarts your offer creation. She said there's something about it that's really smart because you can experiment. And it's not the end of the world if you fail. You've got to give yourself the legitimacy to fail while experimenting and not having invested too much time. That was really important. This is what she said about the program. The thing about not doing this is if you don't take the step of actually selling your test offer, you can't really call it a test unless money is exchanged, which is what we talked about. So this is why this step of testing your marketing assets and getting them out there is super important.
Yep.
This process, as I said, helped Orit pivot from being known in her environment as a circus artist to becoming somebody who helps executives. So it can help anyone.
Yeah. And that is connected to another trend that I am seeing all over the place in the content creation world, and that is, the old way that we used to do things, very related to the last one we talked about, was the launch content hamster wheel, where you're just creating like massive polished assets to get things sold. These, you've got to bring on a copywriter, and you got to bring on a content person, and you got to have all this strategy. The 2023 way, very related to getting this test offer tested, and sometimes we go through a couple before we land on it, so it's important not to sink mega resources into the promotion, not just the offer, but then the promotion of the offer is really sustainable content, sustainable copywriting. So building the right copy, the right content at the right time, doing that with good persuasion frameworks, tried and tested, but you're not bringing on the next evolution of launch copywriter at this point. That's what you do again once we have something that's really promoted. So no more like, and this again is a place people get real stuck here because it's really hard to create this full-blown elaborate launch. We're just going to do the right content, the right copy, keep it real, keep it human, keep it focused on the right thing, and then test it out. Save yourselves. All right.
Yeah.
Let's boogie on through to actually getting this guy delivered.
Yeah, the last step really is to deliver it live. And we mentioned this earlier, how important it is to deliver it live. That is really important because it gives you an opportunity to get immediate feedback from the first people that you serve with your offer. All of us suffer from the curse of knowledge where we are 100% sure that we know exactly what people need and how they need it and in what order. But when you put it in front of real live people and start serving them, sometimes the questions they ask will really surprise you. Sonia loves to mention that oftentimes they need a lot less than what you thought they needed. Maybe they tell you, oh, there's way too much here. I don't have time to consume all this. So in some cases, you may be actually paring back your offer based on the feedback you get from people.
Yeah.
But delivering it live is really important. And as Sonia mentioned, you may have pre-recorded components, but you build in some kind of live component where you're interacting with the people who are consuming it. And that gives you a way to have like an ongoing conversation with those early customers. And that's going to help you create a much higher value offer, one that you know actually is working for people because they've told you that. The one
Yeah,
thing, I don't know if you have this slide ready to show the path. Do you have
yeah,
the
we do.
path slide?
Let's put the path slide in
Okay.
there.
Well, let's show that just so people understand this. So we've been showing this as a path that you go down. But the important thing to understand about this process is it's actually a cycle. And what's beautiful about it is the more often you move through that cycle of doing the market research and going through the process of creating an offer and iterating that offer and making it stronger over time, your offer just gets better and better. It's like a
Yeah.
virtuous circle, right? So that's why this is really designed as a cycle so that you can go through the process. Once you understand your customers better, that's a little bit of kind of market research on real customers, and then you can iterate and make your offer better. So this is an important graphic to have in your mind, that this is a cycle that you go through. And this program teaches you how to go through that cycle and walks you through it with a lot of hand holding from somebody who has a lot of experience.
I've held a lot of hands. I like to hold hands. Yeah, and Trisha has a great, really good question, very apropos, which is, as you know, because we do know, Trisha is like a gold platinum level expert on presentations, like platinum. She says, as you know, my 6 module course is being edited now. Are you saying that if when I miss something or I find any content is unclear, I can create an explanatory video to to clarify? Exactly, exactly. So, um, or sometimes I find it could be a video because you are such an amazing presenter. It could be a little PDF. It could be a worksheet. It could be a little quick workshop that you add in. Sometimes I'll take things, I've done this a couple of times in the past. I'll take things and I will make them like an advanced bonus because I tend to overcomplicate. And so I'll say, okay, if you feel like you've got this and you are totally firing on all cylinders and you want to do, the advanced extra credit, you can go over here and do that, but that keeps people from getting confused. So the people who are maybe at a higher level have some real meat that they can really get beyond gold. They can get a platinum transformation, but your gold folks, the thing is, when we are helping people make transformations, it's one of the biggest enemies we have. It's one of the biggest
Mm.
enemies you all have to making a transformation, to delivering at a higher level, is overwhelm. It's one of the biggest problems we face. So keeping your folks able to implement and not just thinking like, this is too hard, I'm going back to bed.
Yeah.
That's one of your biggest jobs. So delivering it live really helps with that. So thank you, Tricia. That was a delightful clarifying question. I appreciate it very much. Um, all right, how are we? Yeah, let's take a second. I put in a slide here to let us have a moment because we threw, and if you want to let us know in the chat, how overwhelmed are you on a scale of like 1 to 82?
Pull up a chair and tell us.
Yeah, right. It's a lot, and I'm not gonna. I don't like when people say, "Oh, just add a zero." It's like it's all you have to do. It's not that simple. So anybody who's feeling hyperventilating a little, or just feeling like that sounds fine for other fancy people, but I'm not that person. That's just, I'm not, I, my people don't have the money, or um, I don't have the skill, or I'm just not that fancy. Let us know, because um, just because, that's a,
Yeah,
that's
this
a real
this
place.
presentation, it's really been about, the amazing math happens when you add that zero, and here's how you can make that happen.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
it is a
not
process.
easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it is doable, and there's a process for it. And this is the process that we've used for lots of people, and it's worked great for them. And they don't have make money online businesses.
No,
So
and
that's
they're
been
not,
the overarching message.
the people, I do happen to know a lot of people have these golden offers, and they're not superheroes. They don't have 250 IQ. They don't have some kind of work ethic of something crazy. I mean, they're normal people. They care about their people. They care about the quality. But they've also maybe gotten some advice about putting things together strategically. So this is not for, for superheroes. So I promised you all that I would talk about what gets in the way. Um, yeah, that's an interesting one. Retirement safety zone. Um, I don't see how it would fit my insurance agency since product pricing is set. And I'm not sure because I don't know about insurance. So that would be interesting to, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Let's look at the 3 reasons we don't do it for most people. And then we are going to do questions at the end. So I don't know if there's any way to brainstorm that or not, but we can talk about it. The first is really that first sale thing. We haven't made the first sale to ourselves. We're just convinced that we don't have the skills, we don't have enough credentials, we don't think that what we're doing is valuable enough. Um, Sometimes this is also that we have made a commitment to a buyer type um, that that could change. There could be a different buyer type. There could be a different, so if, and I'm not an insurance expert, that's like understating it. However, perhaps there's another kind of client that you could serve. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
with
That's
with your
foolish.
existing expertise. With
Right,
your existing expertise, that's a cool
right,
thing. Yeah.
right.
And that is why the process has to start with market research, because
Yeah,
oftentimes you do need to look at a slightly different market in order to create a higher value offer,
yeah, yeah. Or,
and you need to get to know them.
and that is a process. So if we were just the sort of typical internet gurus, we could say, oh, yes, you're just going to go through, this super easy thing. And it's not necessarily easy to do. It does take a certain amount of sitting down with your business. And we might even potentially have a resource we could point you to that could help you talk through that for yourself and see if there's some room to make some adjustments in your whole business or in some portion of your business. Um, okay, so yeah, we'll get to questions. We will get to questions. Very apropos because, and so that strengthening confidence is part of the process. Very apropos because trend number 6, this is a big one in our, we're not in post-pandemic. We're still in the pandemic, which is that focus is harder than it ever has been. So sitting down and getting yourself to focus on making a change is harder than it has ever been. And that's one of the reasons frameworks, Pamela created Offer Accelerator in the pandemic, and I think that's one of the reasons it's been so successful is because it really just helps you sit down and find that time, a couple of hours a week to really think about things in a focused way. So if focus has been a problem for you, boy, are you not alone for that. And then the 7th trend, and then we'll start talking about some questions and some specifics, is very related to pandemic, which is that connection always mattered. We always cared about connection. That was always a big deal. That was always, human touch, all that stuff. But now, one of the things I think you'll find, even if maybe you have always been a little bit of a lone ranger in your business, I would really look into getting some people to do the work with because we're just more starved for that connection, even if it is over Zoom. Um, and so find some people to kind of be side by side with you as you do the work. Even if you've always been somebody who can pride yourself on, like, yeah, I'm a lone wolf. I go faster when I go alone. Um, that you may find that getting a little more help is going to get you further in the world we live in today. It is very easy to get lost when you go by yourself. And so, if you are overwhelmed, if you find you're just changing gears and you can't get the work done that maybe you once did, you want to try and get some good support and ask for some help. All
Yeah,
right.
and what I love about what you have done with the program, Sonia, is you have really addressed these 3 stumbling blocks. The first one about lacking confidence and needing to make that first sale to yourself. And you've added some elements to the program that help people to focus. And you've added a lot of connection that wasn't there before. So you have really addressed that in a way that wasn't in the program before. And you've added this element that just has made it a much richer program than it ever was. So if you are in a position that you're looking for some help with that, the way to find out how to get that help is to visit offeraccelerator.com, and that will lead you to a page that shows you how you can work with Sonia on accomplishing these steps so that you can create a higher value offer. And just a reminder, the goal here is that you develop a single offer that generates a minimum of $10,000 to $20,000 per month in profits. This is not about running expensive ad campaigns. It's about bringing that in profits. We are going to share more details in just a moment, but just as a reminder, this is for people who don't have an offer right now, or maybe you have something, you've already put something out in the world and you want to bump it up to a level where you can be earning more. You want to create like a true high value offer the way we've addressed it in this presentation. One example of that is someone I was lucky to help, Liz Steele. Liz is a former architect. She now teaches urban sketching, watercolor urban sketching, and Liz had offers, but she really wanted to improve the revenue that she was bringing in from her offers. And Liz said, I've been wanting to raise prices, but have been a little scared to do it. And so I developed a launch strategy in the program to increase my prices. And she said, my price increase campaign was highly successful at 50% more than my previous best course launch. And I'm now really happy. I increased my prices and I have new clarity about how my courses work together as a program. And again, Liz teaches watercolor on the internet. This is another example that is outside the norm of what you would think about for a high value offer.
Yeah, and it's interesting when Pamela told me about working with Liz, I was kind of excited because I know Liz's work and I've bought courses from her. And she's very good. She's excellent. I also know because I know
But she was convinced.
Yeah.
She was convinced that no one would pay more.
Yeah, and I know
and was very concerned because she, I think she felt like she was already charging as much as she could,
Yeah.
So it was a lot of mindset work with her. And I think everybody has to do a lot of mindset work.
Yeah.
No exceptions.
Yeah. And Liz is excellent at what she does, but there are people in that field who are more excellent who charge less money. I mean, so it's, you have to be good. You have to, she can really teach you amazing things, but it's not about being necessarily the most excellent. It's about putting things together in the right way. All right, let's talk about, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes. I'm just going to tell you how it works because I think some people are curious about how it works. We will have time for questions, so please do feel free to stick around. We have already gotten some really interesting, juicy, specific questions, so I am very excited about jumping into that. So Offer Accelerator, just in a nutshell, includes 6 months of access to the curriculum. I kind of touched on this before. There's something that Pamela designed. It's called the Smart Start. It's very much a process so that you always know exactly what you're working on when you're working on it. You can come into the Offer Accelerator with an idea, and then the first 30 days, you can have something that you will put in front of your audience to sell and start making some money. And then from there, we go through that cycle, right? And so maybe we need to iterate it. Maybe it's really firing the first time out and it's just refining it. But you get 6 months of access to that so that you have plenty of time to optimize it if you need a little time to tune it up. We have weekly mastermind style coaching sessions with me. And those are really places where you take the theory and you translate it to reality. You actually are about, okay, I'm putting this out. This was a little different than I thought it was going to be. Very supportive environment. Get weekly reviews of your projects. So if you have an email that you're sending out, if you have a sales page that you're sending out, if you have some, content that you're putting out, I personally, me individually, look at that and just either say, this is good to go ahead and get it out. Or I say, thinking it might work well to just tweak this a little bit. Either way, you just get your stuff out there. You have that confidence of knowing somebody who has done a lot of launches, built a lot of products, has just taken a look at it and said, yeah, I think this is good to go. I think you're in good shape. And then we have a Slack community, and that's, quick questions, quick support. Just make sure you're not getting lost. Make sure you're not getting sidetracked, overwhelmed. All right. We also have, make sure you can see this. We also have quick structured weekly sessions, and this is the part that I've added in. This is built on work I've been doing since the early days of the pandemic, noticing how hard it was for people to focus and how hard it was for them to make progress on meaningful goals. So once a week, we get together. Honestly, it takes about 12 minutes, and just set your priorities for the week. Troubleshoot anything on your list that's like, this is not getting done. We make a little plan. We stay focused, we stay connected, and we get support, because sometimes this stuff will take you outside of your comfort zone. And so this is really a framework that keeps you, just keeps you supported. So I am here. We have other folks here to help you make sure you're not, getting bogged down. When the work is hard, you've got that support. Also, you got six
I think
months.
that's been.
Yeah, go
Oh,
for
go
it.
ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to let you
Well,
know,
I just think it's.
we're
Okay,
excited.
you really go, and I will be quiet.
All right, I'm
Sorry.
just gonna mention, this is not like if you've taken sort of, like an internet marketing course and you go through their cookie cutter and then it spits you at the end and then you implement half of it once and then you're done. This is really about a grown-up business process. This is real world, real people in digital business really do this, and you get downloadable templates, downloadable tools. You've got a repeatable process. So it's not like a one and done, and then that's not going to work. You go to the next thing. This is how genuine grown-up business owners do things, and you have, all your checklists and templates and models so that because the world is going to change again, and your offer will change again. So we want to make sure you've got what it takes. All right, Pamela, go.
Well, I wanted to reiterate how important I think it has been that you have added this additional help to the program,
Mm,
because there were the weekly mastermind sessions, but you've added this level of extra support that really helps people if they get stuck during the week. And during the week is when a lot of the work happens. So
yeah.
it's been a wonderful addition, that you have found a way to support people even more than they were before. It's been really, really great. When you're helping people do important work, they need as much support as they can get. So it's been a wonderful addition.
Yeah, yeah, it's been good. It's been a really good. I mean, the quality of people we get is really off the hook, so that's kind of exciting as well. All right, let's see what we've got going on here. Okay, so just to reiterate the point behind doing this work, because we are going to ask you to get outside your comfort zone, is to get you to a systematic process to get you to 10 to 20,000 a month every month. Now, if you're already there and you're looking to grow by taking your version of gold and making it more gold, it's very suitable to that as well. But the point is to get you there predictably and consistently. Not one launch, but a predictable, consistent process, and doing the work that you find the most meaningful. And my kind of mantra for this is sort of how I stay centered and focused, is get focused, get supported, get paid. So that's just, when I'm kind of doing my self-talk every week to move people forward. That's what I want to make sure happens. We bring on 5 people per cohort per month. That way we always have good bandwidth to make sure, you're continuing to move forward. Because if you move forward consistently and continually for 6 months, you will really be amazed at what you can actually get done. Now, offeraccelerator.com, there is an application process. I'm not, it's not like some kind of weird, nightclub velvet rope thing, but it's
Yeah.
important to me to know where you are. Like, well, what's going on in your business? What would you like to see happen? How are you connecting to people now? So that, because it's not well suited to people who are business beginners, and so it's just important for me to know that. It's 6 questions. I look at the applications myself. If you're not sure, don't worry about like bugging me because it's only 6 questions. Just fill it out. Let us know. It's really, really interesting and cool to see where people are and to get creative about what we might be able to make work. If you are like, that's way too scary, you can go to fiercerevenue.com. Don't put a www, just fiercerevenue.com in your browser, and get some resources that'll kind of just help you um, take the first couple of steps on your own. But I would encourage you. It's very friendly. They're not like super hard questions. It's just really, who are you and where do you want to go, and then we'll go from there. All right. So, like I
That's
said,
really that's the best way to find out.
yeah,
I know we have questions and we're of course going to do the best we can to answer them here, but people's situations are very individual, right?
yeah,
So the best way to get a true answer about whether or not this program can help you is to fill out that short application, because that gives Sonia a little bit more context. And of
yeah,
course, she knows the program inside and out. So she can see if there's going to be a match between your needs and what the program can deliver to you. So if you're watching this or you left a question and you don't get the complete answer that you wanted, just fill out the application. That's the
yeah,
best way to find out for sure.
yeah. And it does definitely happen that I get people in and I say, I think this is not the moment for you. I think what I would think is, go do this other thing. A lot of times it might be a free thing or something that's, maybe less of an investment of time and money. Um, and get ready for this as the next step. So I'm always happy to do that. It's important. We only take 5 people a month, so it's important that all those 5 are really in a good place to really get benefit. All right, so let's have your questions, and we already have some good ones. So I'm
Yeah.
loving that. Um,
Do you want me
okay.
to ask them? You want me to
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
say them out loud and you can take a sip of tea? And
Yeah, yeah,
I'm going
right.
to start from the bottom up. How about
Okay,
that?
great. Yeah,
So Trisha is asking, she's got a couple of tech questions, but she said, my audience is mid-career professionals. Should the online community be Facebook or is Slack more current with this population? And then why did you choose YouTube today versus Zoom? Oh,
yeah,
that's fascinating. I have opinions about both of those.
exactly. Um, yeah, I mean, those both point to the world of a lot of times there's more than one good answer. And so I love
Yes.
Zoom. I have gotten so comfortable. I'm comfortable on Zoom. I know where all the buttons are. I know what all the stuff does. I've delivered some really nice courses on Zoom. YouTube lets me talk to some new people. I mean, I'm out of my comfort zone. I do not feel like I'm great on YouTube the way I feel like I'm great on Zoom. And that's okay. That's okay because I'm talking to some new people. You talk about, let it be a little bit messy. Yeah,
It's
that's all
kind of a
good.
marketing decision, really,
Yeah,
because it's a marketing presentation when you come down to it. So it's a great platform for, like you said, reaching people who
yeah,
aren't already in your audience.
yeah,
Plus, YouTube has that thing where the link where you gave the presentation is also the link to watch the replay, and that is super easy.
yeah, yeah. So it's new territory for me. It's interesting territory. I'm looking forward to polishing and perfecting YouTube. But yeah, and then Facebook or Slack. It depends on where your people are. I would ask your people. The thing about Facebook that works is people already go to Facebook. And so even in 2023, people are already going to Facebook. I happen to have a lot of people in my community who really don't go to Facebook because it's stressful. And so, so Slack is like very self-contained. Um, it's really up to your people. But as much as I love some of these other options, boy, it's hard to get the minimum. It's hard to get people to come to Mighty Networks or something. And not impossible. People
Hmm.
are doing it. People are making it work. Um, but yeah, Facebook and Slack are both good options. I would probably go with the one that your people would prefer generally.
And that's where the market research is so important,
Yeah.
because your community, they may like Discord, and maybe you put it
Yes.
there. So
Yeah.
this program does not recommend, it's very platform agnostic. You have
Yeah.
to know your audience, and then you can figure out what tech you can choose to serve them with.
Yeah.
You ready for another one?
Yep. Let's do it.
Play Parks Creative asks, I think I'm not understanding the deliver it live aspect. What do you mean by that? And then she's also wondering how passive this can be once the offer is in play, and says she doesn't mind doing the work on the front end.
So yeah, so delivering it live, I mean, it can have multiple ways of doing things. Zoom is probably going to be the most common tool you're going to use, but it's not. Again, it's technology agnostic. But even if you have something that is pre-recorded, then one way there are a lot of ways you can do it. One way you could do it would be to have like sort of a watch party. Like, okay, we're going to play this um, presentation at 12 o'clock, and of course it's available for you if you're my community is in three different general time zones. I have Europeans, Australians, and North Americans. There's no such thing as a good time for my people,
Yeah.
so I always do make things available for people to do at their own time level. um, at their own time level, oh my god, I have no englishing left.
Zone,
um,
zone.
Time zone.
That's all right.
So it's great to have things people can do on their own at their own pace. But even then, if you've got a day, like a lot of times I'll do two presentations. I'll do one in the morning, I'll do one in the afternoon. I'm in North America. That lets my Aussies hit it, and it lets my Europeans hit it. Um, and I'm giving people an opportunity, just like we're doing right now, to say, okay, Play Part Creative, you're not understanding one of the things we talked about. Let's get into a little bit. Let's talk about how it might work for your perspective. So that's delivering it live. And then how passive can it be? It really depends on what you do. So, but you can still deliver it live. You can leverage, and that's where Pamela, the process queen, has developed a lot of brilliant ideas for you, because you can pre-record something, and then you can have a live component where either you show up live once a week, twice a week, and everything else is time offset. You can, if you have really strong people, they can do a lot of the live component for you. If you can get to the point, if you can, like, we're all different. We all have different constraints and assets. Let's say you had a constraint of um, you have a health issue and you just can't show up live for hours and hours a week. You can build it around that constraint and get some help, get some coaching, offset the time. There's always ways to do it, but having things released to your folks kind of all together, you might do a cohort, you might do something similar, and then getting their feedback in chunks will really help you to make sure that it works, to make sure the message is clear. Now you might get it to the point where it is so dialed in that you don't show up live. You definitely could get there.
Or you show
Or
up once a month for an Ask Me Anything or
yeah,
something.
yeah, but
Yeah,
usually there'll be some component where you're leveraging your time and you are doing some degree
right.
of showing up live. It just um, It's totally individual. It really depends on your assets and your constraints.
And the most important thing, the most important takeaway when it comes to this is to understand that this program is not like a solution on a shelf
Hmm.
that will be delivered to you and you have to implement it like that. You are looking, if you're looking at Sonia, I'm not actually sure what's up on screen right now, but if you're looking at Sonia right now,
Maybe.
you are looking at one of the most experienced marketers you will ever come across. She has a massive toolkit of solutions. So this is not
Yeah.
about you doing it a specific way. It's about creating something that serves your audience at a really high level so that you can charge more for it. And that solution can be put together using lots of different tools and lots of different approaches. And Sonia knows them all. So she's a great person to help you figure that out.
Yeah, and I'll just
Um,
share. I'll just share something with you that I've seen, which is I see a lot. I know a lot of course creators. I know a lot of coaches, and a lot of them, they have kind of a their way or the highway mentality, which can be fine, can be great, can create a lot of value. I have seen so much stuff. I have seen this from so many perspectives. I've seen big traffic. I've seen small traffic. I've seen really intimate, high touch businesses. I've seen, I have a course that more than 300,000 people have taken. I've just seen a lot of stuff because I've been doing this for a long time. And because I've had the good fortune of being in the room with some people who have done some pretty interesting things. So I've usually seen it, and I'm not going to say nobody ever throws me, but I've never had a situation where a client came to me and said, I have this weird set of assets and constraints, and I think I'm 100% stuck, and we haven't been able to figure something out. The creative human brain is an amazing thing. So I'm just saying,
well, the creative human brain and a lot of experience
a lot
as
of
well,
experience.
right?
Yeah.
So,
So it's experience.
yeah. Stephanie is asking, hi, Stephanie, it's good to see you. Stephanie's asking about the impact of rising prices generally and how many can afford high priced courses. And this is not about volume. So, why don't we
Yeah.
talk about that, Sonia?
I think this is a very big deal. And I think it's a very big deal for the person offering the offer. We definitely, I definitely understand, like, I don't just want to serve rich people. Like, I get that. I get that. It's like if I felt like, well, if let's say as a yoga professional, my only way to make good money is I have to like go teach yoga to country club people and they're maybe like those people are mean
Yeah.
or, like which what we were just talking about, assets and constraints. Um, let's say you have 1,000 people in your audience, and 900 of those people are really not in a position to work with you at the gold pricing level. You have probably already created a lot of wonderful things for those people, and there's probably a way for you to leverage that in a way that's not taking your time and that's not taking your bandwidth to continue to serve those people. You do not have to abandon those people to serve a few people in a higher priced way.
Mm-hmm.
And um, how you put that together can involve some creative adaptability. It can involve some, it can involve some like, okay, this is a puzzler. Let's work on that. Um, because it's often, it is often maybe going to a different kind of person, but also, we can get very stuck in a mindset place of sort of like anybody who has this much money is like a bad human being. Okay. So
Yeah.
if what you're selling costs $1 billion, then that's might be going to involve some soul searching, right? But we're not talking about selling something in $1 billion. And there's a lot of very good ethical people who are maybe their businesses, there's a lot of good people who can afford things at a higher price point. A lot of this is mindset work. So I am not I am not discounting it because that can be tough, but you can serve some of your audience in a deeper way. You'll be surprised at some of the folks you have been talking to who actually have more budget than you might think. And they're good people.
Mhm.
They're good people. They have more budget than you might
And
think
you don't
for the
need
right thing.
you don't need that many of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you develop something that's a higher value, you don't need that many of them.
Yeah. So you can,
Um,
you can do good work and meaningful work and hard work and still, get paid something that's appropriate to the time and passion that you've put into it.
right, absolutely. The last question that I see is from Retirement Safety Zone, and I
Yeah.
actually know this person well. I don't know if this is a question we can answer on here. She's got a lot to offer, but that would be a perfect example of somebody who, if there is interest at all, it would be a great solution to just fill out that application, super fast application at offeraccelerator.com. Because that's an example of somebody who, if you brainstormed with them and understood their constraints a little bit better, you could see if it's a good fit,
Yeah. Yeah.
The questions have been really great though. And Trisha added some, Trisha's been kind of narrating some insights that she's had during the presentation. So they've been really, really great chat comments. So I so appreciate everybody chiming in.
Yeah. 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 And Stephanie, if you want to fill out an application and we can talk about it, because without knowing what you do, it's hard. It's always hard to answer questions without specifics. When you get the specifics, the lens is like, oh, okay, let's talk about this. I get your worry, and please feel free to fill out the application. We can talk about it, and there might be a way that you can do the good you want to do without taking the vow of poverty necessarily. Like sometimes there's ways to do things, because I feel exactly what you're saying, and I don't want to cut out the people who need it most. I definitely don't. Kathleen O is an amazing coach. She's in the comments. She's one of my clients. She's just a rock star.
Oh, look at that! All right, I'm going to read her comment because you're not going to want to read it yourself. Kathleen O says, "Big fan. I want everything Sonia sauce." In the midst of web copy do-over, my biz is successful, consistently in the six figures. Should I consider before launching the new site, ETA end of April? I don't know if I entirely understand that question, but I bet you do.
Kathleen, are you saying should you jump into the accelerator before you launch? You would totally. You would be great. You would be great in the accelerator because you've got. So here's what I look for. Are you offering something that offers the kind of transformation people would pay good money for? Do you know how to talk to those people? And then, are you in a good place right now to answer the hard questions and do the deep work and maybe get uncomfortable? And I know Kathleen really well, and so it's like, 100%. So yeah, I know you'd be a great fit, girl. Of course you would. I can't tell you guys how cool she is.
Okay, she said yes.
So yeah, so that's what that's what I look for. And sometimes that's service providers. Sometimes that's there's an education thing where you have a course. Sometimes it's a hybrid. Like Offer Accelerator, I think is very much a hybrid. It's got a course that's the framework, but that's kind of like your guardrails, so you're not going crazy places. You're staying right in your lane. You're going right where you want to go. But then there's a lot of coaching component, both mastermind group coaching and then one-on-one time. It's so fun. Pamela, I have to tell you, I feel like this was made for me because I just love the focus. Focus is not my superpower. So your processes and those guardrails that you put in place are amazing for me because then I can just show up and just really be with people and let's get this stuff figured out. Let's get it, let's put it together. So yeah, it's been really, really enjoyable. And my main thing now is I just love the conversations and I'm loving getting this to the people who I think are going to be good.
And seeing the progress week by week is as a coach, that's one of the most exciting things of all. Just seeing people move forward. and stumble because we all stumble, but
Yeah.
then get past it and keep moving. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
It is. It is. And seeing people, first of all, just getting out of the overwhelm, because it is overwhelming. But also when people can start to see themselves the way I can see them, that's pretty juicy. That's pretty
Yes. Yeah,
cool. All right.
definitely.
Y'all are brilliant. We have time for another one, but I think everybody's spoken their piece. Please feel free to fill out an application. Do not worry about like if you're good enough or ready. Don't worry about it. No worries. It's a chance for us to have a conversation, and I tell people all the time, like, I think, I think there's another step before you get to this step, and that step is not always about giving me money at all. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So, all right, y'all are genius. Thank you. You don't love the uncomfortable parts, Kathleen. You're so tough. You're so tough. All right. Thank you all so much. I am really passionate about this. I'm really grateful to you all for your brilliant questions. I'm really grateful to Pamela for this cool opportunity to serve people in a gold way, which has been a great privilege. Thank you all. There will be a replay that posts. We put closed captions on. Sometimes that makes it take a couple hours, so or even a day, but it'll just pop up. Trisha, great. You're brilliant. All right. Thank you all. Take care. See you soon.
Thank you.